There is a statement the Chazal make that Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to make him sovereign over us. It makes reference to Malchios and Zichronos, Uvameh, and how are you going to do this? B'Shofar. I want to borrow a lovely mashal, sort of a modern day mashal that I heard from Rabbi Eli Mansour, who was speaking about nishmas, and he said that nishmas creates a bit of a question mark. On the one hand, it says ilufinu maleshira kayam mulshanin rino kamon galav sisosenu shevach kemerchim. No matter how much resources we have, ein anachnu maspikim lados lecha. They would be insufficient to praise Hashem, to acknowledge Hashem, to thank Hashem. After telling us that that no matter how many resources we have, we would not be able to praise Hashem, the Nishmas goes on to say, Al kain nevarim shepilagta banu, with the limbs and the assets that you gave me, I'm going to praise you. And the question begs itself as to how the beginning and the end of Nishmas go together. So he said a mashal. I think it's remarkable that somebody nowadays can come up with such a mashal. He said, well, every mashal has to have a king and his loyal advisor who is a Jew. And of course, the loyal advisor as a Jew is always eliciting the jealousy of the non-Jews of the court and who are trying to instigate the king against the Jew. That's how every good mashal starts. And the instigation is that this Jew is only serving you out of his self-interest. If it cost him anything, he wouldn't do it. So how do you know? And they said, why don't you ask him to proffer a gathering in your honor? Make a party, make a gathering in your honor. And so the king calls in this trusty Jewish minister, and he says to him, I'd like you to make a party in my honor. And he does, and on the appointed day, this minister is walking around the room looking quite unhappy. He's not looking pleased. He's looking here, he's looking there, he's looking all around. He's not looking pleased, which serves, of course, to fuel the fire of this instigation against him, that he's only interested in self-interest. And these goyim say, watch, you know why he was unhappy? He was unhappy because it was costing him money, because your honor was costing him money. Tell him to make another party for you and give him the money. Let it come out of your pocket. Give him the money and see what happens. So the king at that point is sort of on the side of these people, wondering whether or not this minister really is loyal to him. And he calls him in and he says, I'd like you to make another gathering on my behalf. And here's the money for the party. And this time the party comes and he's delighted and he's toasting the king and he's smiling and he's laughing and he's so pleased. And of course, that just sets the king off completely. And these Gentiles are all saying, you see, we told you, it's only because it doesn't cost him. If it costs him, he's not interested. And the king at that point has bought into this negative image of this Jew, and he calls him in and he says, what is going on? You were very unhappy at the first party, and at the second party, you were so pleased after I paid for it. And the minister said, at the first party, where I had to make the party, at every moment I was looking and saying, maybe I could have done more. Maybe that could have been even better. Maybe that could have, and I was very unhappy. But when you gave me the money, you gave me the budget for the party, you said that this is what will bring you honor. And so I spent every penny that you gave me for that party, and it was wonderful because I knew that I was doing what you wanted because I used the budget that you gave me. So he said in Nishmas, the first part speaks about if we had to do it on our own. If we had to come up to praise Hashem, to acknowledge Hashem, to thank Hashem on our own, ein anachnu maspikim. We'd be unable to. But you're the one. You gave us this mouth and these eyes and these hands and these tendencies and this inclination. You said that this is what you want for your praise. In that case, here it is. I'm not holding anything back. Whatever you've given me, I am bringing you to praise, and I can rejoice in that because I know that you said, Al kain evarim shepilagta banu, v'ruach u'neshama shenafachta b'yapeinu, v'lashon asher samta b'finu. You were the one. You gave me this tongue. You gave me this spirit. You gave me this inclination. And I'm just going to use what you gave me because that must be enough for you. It has to be enough because you were the one, you assigned the budget for your praise. So that was his explanation. Rabbi Mansour gave that explanation for the two apparently disparate parts of Nishmas. I'd like to borrow that. And I think that it's very relevant to the shofar. If we were given the job, if we were tasked with the job of making a coronation for Hashem, of proclaiming Hashem's malchus in the world, of announcing and declaring him as our king, how would we do it? How would we start? How would we end? How would it go? Surely anything that we would do would come up hopelessly short. So Kadosh Baruch Hu said, "Uvameh b'shofar." I'll tell you how to do it. Take the shofar. That's the whole budget. Take the shofar, and you will coronate me with a shofar. So we can come to that coronation with a sense of a spirit of joy. Hashem said that this is the budget for his coronation. The whole event of blowing the shofar is what he said will be his coronation. That's his malchus. But if you think about it, it's really a symbol of the fact that Hashem said, let me tell you what will be satisfying to me. Let me tell you, don't aim for the perfection that I have in Shamayim. If you aim for the perfection that I have in Shamayim, first of all, for that I didn't need to create the world. I have that in Shamayim. And the idea that somehow we are given the budget to be able to praise Hashem, to be able to coronate Hashem, which is an unspeakable thought. Who are we and how can we possibly coronate Hashem? The answer is you can. Every moment that you think about and defer to the will of Hashem, you are coronating Hashem the way Hashem wants to be coronated in this world. He wants to be, and the symbol of that is the shofar, that he's given us the tools, the moment to moment, the ongoing process of our lives. He's given us the tools to be able to coronate him. And so as we go through our lives, we say, okay, we coronated him on Rosh Hashanah. What are the implications of that coronation? Well, one basic implication of the coronation is that he has a will, and that there are his mitzvos. And if I have come up short in my fulfillment of those mitzvos, then I'm going to do tshuva, because that is a natural extension of my role in his coronation. Once I've coronated Hashem as the king, then his mitzvos become critically relevant. but I can't do them perfectly. I can't do them the way in an angelic level, but I can do them a little bit more using the resources that I was given, using the resources and the inclination and the tongue and the spirit that I have. I can take it to the next step. Can't do it perfectly, but the idea of that I can't do it more, maybe I can, and I can check for that. I can check to see that I'm using all of the resources that he gave me. To use more than the resources that he gave me doesn't make sense, because more than the resources that he gave me implies that it would have to be in Shamayim. Well, for that he has angels. And so it is using the resources that he gave me that I'm bringing those resources. And the symbol of that is that he even said that we can achieve his coronation with a shofar. And so that's mitzvos. Then there are his gzeros. He decrees what's going to happen, whether we're going to be able to get a flight or the flight's going to be canceled. That's on a tiny level, but the gzeros are everywhere. They're pervasive. They cover every part of our lives. Are the gzeros of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so part of declaring his malchus is saying, in what way can I submit my will and subserviate my will to his will as an expression of his malchus? Now, some people get more frustrated. Maybe they're more childlike, or they had more hopes and they were more bent on their agenda than others. But everyone with the spirit that they have can submit a little bit more. How much more? To the extent that the person has the ability to do that. To the extent that the person was given the kochos hanefesh, was given the capacity by Hashem to make him sovereign. So the shofar is the symbol of the way that we we don't have to be afraid. When you think about it, we should be terrified. Coming to the coronation, how in the world am I going to do this? And the answer is the shofar. I didn't make that up. I would never have made up that the coronation is going to take place with a shofar. If I had to do the coronation, I would look up all of the in all the history books of the way that the coronations of kings and sovereigns were done throughout the ages, and I would try to outdo that. I would try to top that, because after all, I'm not just coronating a king, I'm coronating the Melech Malchei HaMelachim. So I would aggregate everything that I find out about all of the coronations that have ever happened in the world, and I would set out to try to coronate Hashem. An impossibility. Hashem says, B'shofar. So the moment of, or relating to the mitzvah of Tekiyah Shofar, should be, thank you, Hashem, for giving me the budget. Thank you, Hashem, for allowing me to coronate you in a way that you've said is not only suitable, but absolutely appropriate. And in that moment, there's the great joy of being able to coronate the king as the king wishes to be coronated. And of course, the great pang of remorse, perhaps even of tears, that maybe I've fallen short in using the resources that you've given me to coronate you, and with the resolve to be able to use those resources more efficiently and more effectively to back up this coronation. So I just wanted to give you some food for thought, that when you're coming into Rosh Hashanah and you're thinking about coronating the king, bear in mind that he said that he wants the shofar. He anticipated the question that we all would be asking. Here's the task. How do you do it? All I want, shetamlichuni aleichem, that you should declare me as your sovereign. Well, how do I do that? Can I possibly do it with more than I have? I should. Makes sense that I should have to coronate Hashem with more than I have. And he said, Uvameh v'shofar. And that is how we have a concept of Malchios. It includes Zichronos. In other words, the fact that Hashem is the Schar V'Onesh, the fact that nothing is random, is all part of that Malchios, Uvameh v'shofar. That's how it's done. It's done as a reminder that every day of our lives, whenever we are accepting some reality and we're tweaking it a little bit and being a little bit less childish and a little bit more submissive to his will, and we're accepting it, we are engaged in the coronation. Every time we do something that he has said, this is significant. Rotza Kodesh Baruch Hu lezakos es Yisrael. Kodesh Baruch Hu only gave us the mitzvahs so that we can merit being part of his malchus. And just realizing that the job is exactly suited to our individual nature. It's not more, it's not less. Some people say when they bring a gift, oh, it was the least I could do. Other people bring a big gift and they imply it was the most I could do. The relationship to Malchus Hashem is always a one-to-one fit to who we are. And it's not the way we were as little children, because little children can't coronate the king. It's a one-to-one fit of who we are as we become more aware of our own resources, our own capacities, of our own limitations, and we bring all of that to the day of the coronation. And that's why it's a unique combination of this Malchios and also the first of the Aser Simei Tshuva. It's a unique combination where our focus should be entirely on Malchus, but the fact that we're hearing it through the shofar says, wait a second, this is not just about Malchus. This is about what I bring to the story. And what I bring to the story requires review. It requires assessment. It requires an analysis of whether I'm bringing to the coronation everything that the king gave me to be able to coronate him. And that symbol of that is the shofar.